Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. Richie Furay on Buffalo Springfield.
You had mentioned that Neil played Clancy and you took it with Stephen Stills and were playing it. Was this the band called A Go-Go Singers?
Well, this was after the Go-Go Singers broke up. And we maintained a little apartment still in New York, and Neil had come down to peddle some songs in New York, and he stayed at the little apartment that we had, and it was there that he taught me the song. And he'd probably played it for Stephen when Stephen went across Canada, working his way over to California. But when Stephen and I got together in LA and played it, it was like a fresh new song to both of us. So it was pretty cool.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so you're in New York. How do you end up in California? I guess you said Stephen went across Canada there. How do
Yeah.
you end up in California with Stephen and Neil and I guess Jim Messina? Was it just the four of you originally?
Jimmy wasn't even involved until the very last little bit of the Buffalo Springfield. But my getting to California was via East Hartford, Connecticut. After the Go-Go Singers broke up, I went up to Pratt and Whitney Aircraft to hand out tools in the tool crib because I definitely wanted to eat a little bit. And a guy that lived across the street from me, his name was Graham Parsons. And Graham brought a record up to me when I was working up there and living with a family up in Connecticut. He brought the Byrds' first record up to me and said, "You got to hear this record. You never heard anything like this before." And when I heard it, it was like, yep, it is fantastic. I got to get a hold of Stephen, find out what he's doing. And so I got in touch with him, and that was a roundabout story, too, because I sent his dad a letter. That was the only address that I had, and his dad was in El Salvador, and I waited for it to come back, and it just didn't seem like it was ever coming back, and it finally did. Not enough postage. And so I had to resend the letter. And then Stephen got in touch with me and said, "Hey, come on out to California. I got a band together. All I need is another singer." And I said, "Man, let me get my affairs in order back here," because I'd told my cousin who hired me at Pratt and Whitney that I would be around for the gold watch. And at that point in time, I was said I can't do this anymore. And so got all that taken care of and went to California. And the interesting thing was there was no band. It was me and Steven.
And all right, so he ends up you and Steven. I guess did Steven had met Neil in Canada? Is
Yeah,
that
he did. He took a bit of the Go-Go Singers who had already booked a little tour across Canada, and they needed a lead singer, and so Stephen became their lead singer. And when they passed through Toronto, Neil was playing up there in the little club where they were playing, and that's how they met. Yeah, so
oh,
they
interesting.
yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me they hired Neil as the singer.
Well, it wouldn't have been a bad thing for them to do.
Wouldn't have been a bad thing. I hear you. Very good. All right. Well, so let's. All right. You have the Buffalo Springfield there. I guess that was like just. I mean, it was like a flash. I guess it burned hot. It burned quickly. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you went from being something on the verge of one of the biggest bands, I guess, in the country to saying it's time to move on?
It was a strange situation. Number one, even how we got together. Neil had finally come down from Canada to Los Angeles looking for Stephen and couldn't find him. And this was well before the days of cell phones and internet and all that stuff. And he had been in Los Angeles for a couple of weeks and was leaving town. He had Bruce Palmer with him at the time, and they were leaving town. They were on Sunset Boulevard, and we were on Sunset Boulevard. Now, what Stephen and I were doing out that day, I do not have any idea because we couldn't afford to walk down the street hardly, let alone be in a car on Sunset Boulevard. And we got stuck in traffic. There's a famous little story. We got stuck in traffic right on Sunset Boulevard. And that's where we all met up to start the group, basically. And Kevin, to be honest with you, I don't think Neil ever really wanted to be in a band situation. I think he always wanted to be a solo artist. And so in a 2-year period of time, because that's all that the Springfield were together, we were only together for 2 years. There were 9 people in and out of the band. There were the 5 original players, and then there were 4 other people as we would try to replace Bruce on various occasions, and then Neil on one occasion. And so it was just real hard. It was like, 1 step forward and 3 steps back at the same time. So for some reason, that's just the way the history of the band went down. We did what we did, and it was over. We left a mark in those 2 years. There's no doubt about it, for what it's worth.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.